Walter Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf from
Hey Burleson, you're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam.
You're watching NorbCam.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you for another roundtable with my special guests, Juan, Cotto, and New York Vinnie, to talk about this last game, which was so much fun. We weren't supposed to win that game. We were supposed to get killed by the visiting Giants. Sorry to flip that narrative around. And then we've got a matchup with our NFC West Birds, the Cardinals, this time in the desert, coming up on Sunday. Can we make it 4 in a row? We're going to talk about that and much more. So let me, without further ado, bring on the fellas, the round table guys right here. Let's do it. There is Juan and Vinnie. Vinnie's rolling, driving along. What's up, you guys? Let's start with Juan. What's going on, Juan?
What's happening?
Hey, man, just enjoying the atmospheric river, but hey, I'm just really excited about our football team here. What an incredible turnaround! And as you and I were laughing before we came on, if you would have thought about that bye week, the bye week before week one, and the lead up to the game with Russell Wilson, but people concerned and tickets not being sold, and for the first time you could get tickets to Seahawks games, and what a turnaround 8 weeks later, two months later, and it's unbelievable how far this team has come along.
Yeah, I bet your phone calls have increased for your extra tickets, huh?
Well, let's just say I didn't have to give them away this past weekend, which was nice. So it's great to have a team that's in demand. But more importantly than that, it's just nice to be in the conversation in a positive sense. I mean, look at this in the news. I don't know if you guys saw, but on Twitter here, man, it was awesome to see that Geno Smith, Offensive Player of the Month, Tariq Woolen, Kenneth Walker, Offensive and Defensive Rookies of the Month. Are you kidding me? This is all happened at the same time.
Vinnie,
it's crazy.
Vinnie, I want to ask Vinnie a question. I mean, can you ever remember going into a season, Vinnie, with the number 32 ranked quarterback room? People were calling this the number 32 ranked quarterback room, and this was such a disaster that Pete Carroll and John Schneider created. And now, midway in the season, they're talking about Geno Smith being the MVP of the league.
Well, yeah, and I listen, I don't think there's anybody, I don't even know if Geno Smith knew that he could perform like he is performing. I mean, maybe he did. Maybe he put it over on everybody. He certainly didn't show us this last year when he was in the games when Russell was hurt, right? Did you see any of this last year?
No, we saw one win and 2 losses during the time he was on the field, and he wasn't able to pull out the game where he had to come in for the injured Russell against the Rams. So it wasn't like he was impressing anybody in his time in place of Russell Wilson. But then again, he didn't have first round reps. He was a backup coming in. This is different. He's the guy.
He didn't play bad last year, but
fielding calls for Geno Smith in the offseason going, listen, we got to have him. We'll send you, whoever, name me a great quarterback. We'll send you him for Geno Smith because he's the future. But right now, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because Russell Wilson isn't there anymore. And so he's out from, he can just be him. And you combine that with the experience. But, man, he is something else to watch play. He doesn't do anything wrong. Tell me what he's done wrong in the last 3 games.
It's really interesting to bring that up, Vinnie, because when you think about it, and I think when I was watching the press conferences with both Pete Carroll and Clint Hurt, and also Shane Waldron, who's starting to make a name for himself, certainly, and people are starting to talk more and more about this offense. But number one, you feel a great deal of confidence. Pete Carroll is loose. He's wisecracking with the media. Clint Hurt looks like a completely different person. He looks like a cool, calm, confident defensive coordinator. But Shane Waldron, and Vinnie, you brought it up. I mean, last year, the offense, even with Russell Wilson, still seems so limited. And this offense has opened up completely. Obviously, the running back and Kenneth Walker and the performances that he's had helped do that. But just the throw that Geno's making to all of the different receivers. And I remember when we used to play the Los Angeles Rams, you remember a tight end they had by the name of Tyler Higbee, who used to just kill us. And I remember when Shane Waldron first got to Seattle, I said, geez, it'll be great because we'll get the tight ends more involved. And last year they really weren't. Even Gerald Everett didn't play very well for us. But this year the tight ends are involved, and it's just amazing the types of throws that Geno Smith's making. But certainly that is also coming from the play calling of Shane Waldron.
Well, I think there's especially in the type of offense, and I remember this from the 49ers, from watching the 49ers in San Francisco for so many years. When you're getting the tight ends, when you're getting Will Disley and those two tight end sets out there, I think sometimes when you have complete confidence in your tight end that one guy's going to block or that guy's going to block while the other guy is going to get the ball and go, I mean, it's got to, as a quarterback, I was never a quarterback, but it's got to, as a quarterback, just give you this kind of confidence to say, not only do I have option A, option B, option C, but I got E and F over here too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I got to interject real quick because I got to recognize the generous people who are doing super chats. Ancient Hawk 48 with the super chat. You think we can win in Germany? And AD, formerly known as Anthony D, now going by AD, says, Norb, can you change my MVP name to AD? Anthony D is now the artist formerly known as Anthony D is now just AD. So yes, we'll take care of that for you, man. But super chat dance, woo! But to add to two hands on the wheel, Vinny.
I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. If we get a $25 super chat, it's raining out here, but I'll open the sunroof.
Oh, in that Cadillac that you're driving. You're saying if we get a single super chat for $25, you will open up the sunroof on this rainy Seattle day.
I'll close it up again, but I'll open up the sunroof and drive a little bit.
Okay. All right. If somebody does a $25 super chat, New York Vinnie is going to open up the sunroof in the middle of the freeway on the rain. So, all right. Challenge is on. The challenge is on. Hey, I want to say, though, while we're waiting for that to happen, look, the other thing about what I enjoyed so much about this game that I got to watch in person, by the way, was so much fun because not only are we seeing this transformation of the defense that started off just terrible to now where they're locking. The Giants were one of the best running teams in the league, and they held Saquon Barkley and their quarterback to nominal yardage. And but besides that, on offense, we're starting to see Shane Waldron start doing some fun things. Just that shovel pass to Disley at fourth down near the goal line. That was like a Kansas City type play right there. And then the direct snap to Kenneth Walker. I think that was also on a fourth and short, if I'm not mistaken, too. Just so now we're seeing not only what you brought up about just having these options, but now it's like he's having fun. We're having these creative plays, a little razzle dazzle, which I have not seen before by the Seattle Seahawks, and it's great.
Confidence does that, right? I mean, if you're confident in your receivers, you're confident in your team in all phases of the game, then you start to get past just trying to get out there and beat teams, but you want to make the game fun so that there's more of an incentive to go out and beat teams. Because even teams that win sometimes can get boring. But, these guys, listen, it's the right quarterback, the right personnel on offense, the right personnel and coordinator on defense, and the right coach. You got the 5 factors there. And if you can make those 5 factors last throughout the rest of the season, who knows? Who knows?
It's really interesting too. I mean, when we were at the Atlanta game and sitting with Norb and with our good buddy Mark Collins, and I kept referencing that day that the defensive line was being pushed off the ball. And it just on Sunday, on the contrary, the defensive line and our front seven really outnumbered the New York Giants at the point of attack. And it just seemed like time and time again, Saquon Barkley had nowhere to run. And they obviously cleaned up the issues they had with the read option types of plays. The quarterback, Tayshaun Hill down in New Orleans, as you remember, had a massive day against that Seahawks defense. But Daniel Jones, who has been really hurting teams with his ability to run, was completely stymied, and then that Lawrence Taylor-esque play by Bruce Irvin, where he basically took Saquon Barkley or took Daniel Jones and just slammed him into Saquon Barkley, and they both went down.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite play. There were a lot of great plays. That probably was my favorite play because one, it was by Bruce Irvin, who he's 35 years old, coming back for the third time, right? We just thought he was just like there for moral support. He doesn't play, throws the quarterback into Saquon Barkley and takes him out. You don't see that very often, but that was awesome. We went crazy for that.
Announcing his presence with authority.
Yeah.
I mean, just
I love it when I see the old guys, man. It takes me all the way back to I'm trying to think of the guy that was here in 2005. He was a veteran. He'd been on like 90 teams, and Holmgren brought him in. Was a big defensive line guy, and he just was having fun, man. It's like he knew it was going to be his last year or two, and he just was having a good old time, man. And
I'm trying to remember who that was. Was it a defensive end, you said?
Yeah, I think it was the big defensive line guy. Oh, man, I can't remember. I have to think about it. I'm trying to concentrate on driving.
Yeah. But, so there was so much to like about that game. And then, of course, we didn't even mention special teams. Jason Myers being perfect on the day to the point where now we're not even thinking about it. Were great because it would just blow up ball loose, and then later in the game, another one by Travis Homer knocking the ball loose, and I think giving him a concussion, the returner and a concussion at the same time. But man, just some violent collisions going on in that game. So the Seahawks, they're starting to have an identity, not just an offensive, led by Geno Smith, but defensively and special teams starting to hit some guys, and kind of what reminds me again of that identity we had back in 2012 2013 when they started getting known for punishing people and just being really efficient. And there was not much to not like. And really, when you think about it, Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, we know he had a bad day, right? He had the fumble, he had a touchdown which he couldn't get the 2 feet in. That was the first one he missed. And then, of course, the one that hit off his face mask and he dropped. I mean, that's just not – you just don't see that from Tyler Lockett. And if he makes those plays and turns those into touchdowns, imagine the numbers Geno Smith would have had if he makes those 2 catches. That would have been 2 more touchdowns, 50-something plus more yards. He was already Offensive Player of the Week. And just tack on, more reasons why people are talking about him in the MVP discussion. So Geno Smith is not only not doing too much wrong, he's doing everything right. And save for a couple of errors, he'd be looking even sweeter than he is now. So it's amazing how much he's just playing out of his mind.
I mean, I know last week we talked about, winning the Super Bowl and having a first-round draft pick and the MVP and comeback player of the year. What about the coach of the year as well? Tell me somebody who you would say is a better candidate. He beat the one on Sunday that I thought might have been the better candidate. And unless it's the coach of the Jets, you tell me who it is that you would look at and say better than Pete Carroll right now.
I agree. I just one thing I want to point out too, and you touched on it with the special teams. I believe there was an injury last week. I believe Nick Ballore or somebody got hurt in practice last week. And Will Dissly was pressed into playing special teams. And that's when you really start to see the unselfish nature of a football team. And, Will Dissly signed a really big contract, and he's been playing extremely well at tight end. But for him to step up and go ahead and say, I'm going to go ahead and play special teams, and not only play special teams, but the impact that he had, causing a fumble and just the sheer effort that he put into the special teams and the especially the punt coverage last week. I think it really speaks volumes to Pete Carroll's ability to get people to buy in, and it certainly set the tone for the game. And they definitely won the special teams battle, and it ended up really showing well in the ballgame for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think about it, too, the special teams was another negative story that people were talking about, how we had those blunders in New Orleans with that Michael Dixon running for whatever reason and then getting tackled and fumbled and then he fumbles. It's a safety in that other game. So I mean, we were a mess. We were a hot mess. But man, in the period of 2-3 weeks, they've cleaned up those things.
Special teams is a mindset. It's a mindset and it's execution. And no one really wants to be on special teams. Having coached at the high school level, I can tell you a lot of guys try to beg off special teams. In the NFL, I think sometimes it can certainly be that way. But obviously, it was reemphasized, and they went ahead and made the adjustments. And the special teams is certainly a weapon right now.
Yeah,
Bob,
for sure.
It actually kind of, and I know you're right. Don't get me wrong. I know that you're right about that, and I know that people look at it as, what the heck, I was what am I doing on special teams? But you're playing in the NFL, man. If you can't get it up to go out there on a Sunday and do your job on special teams, I'm sorry, man. I just got no respect for you. I mean, really, I know it's hard, and I know that it's not what you thought it was going to be, but you.
Uh-oh. Vinny has disappeared. There he is.
Moving around like there he is.
You're good, Vinny. Where are you driving anyway? That looks like, is that I-5?
I'm on
520?
I'm just getting off at Green Lake. I got to go to my doctor's at like 6.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. Well, we appreciate you doing this. Making the time while you're on the way. Just make sure you drive safe, all right? So,
yeah. We didn't get a $25 thing yet, huh?
Well, not yet. You'd be the first to know, that's for sure. So if it happens again, first 25, we get a $25 super chat. Vinny's going to open up his sunroof with the rain coming in. So there you go. The challenge is on. So let's talk a little bit. We've heaped a bunch of praise on the Seahawks and obviously riding the momentum. We go into Sunday against, it just seems like we just played them yesterday, isn't it? This is the start of this win streak was the Cardinals. It kind of got us right. We play them again this time, but it's going to be a little bit different. We're playing them down in the desert, which we have in the past, for the most part, done pretty well in. But one big difference is they didn't have DeAndre Hopkins when we played them last time here in Seattle. This time he's back. He's definitely helping. Now, granted, Arizona's still having their struggles, but I kind of want to get an idea from you guys what you think. How do you think this is going to go? It went pretty well for us last time. Can we keep it going, or do you think it's going to be a little bit different this time? What do you think, Juan?
Well, this is what division rivalries are all about. And you play your division teams twice a year, and we certainly got to play them early in the season. And to be honest, we were a different team then, and made some adjustments on defense. And I think we're going to be a different team on Sunday. And I'm sure that both Clint Hurt and Shane Waldron probably have some bullets left in their chamber, so they can get ready for this ball game that they'll show on Sunday. Certainly, DeAndre Hopkins has been a problem for us in the past. He's been a problem for a lot of teams in the NFL. So obviously they'll look at different ways that they can build their coverages around him. But the most important thing is still stopping Kyler Murray from the havoc that he creates back there, taking the proper angles, and also trying to get a little bit of pressure on him. That's the best way to get the best way to defend DeAndre Hopkins is to get the ball out of his hands early. So I'll be interested to see what types of pressures they'll be able to get on Kyler Murray at the same time, not letting him make those breakaway escape routes in the pocket. So it'll be a challenge, and certainly they did it well the last time, and see what the defense is up to and see what Clint Hurt has for him.
I want to shout out, hey, Vinny, I'm going to go to you in a second. I just want to shout out AD, the artist formerly known as Anthony D. He says he's in the Discord, only person in there. We got a couple extra right now, and that is the way if you want to jump on at the end when we're going to take a couple of calls, join the Discord, and we'll get a couple of your comments or questions near the end of the show. So hang tight, you guys. Appreciate the support, though, AD. Vinny, your take on the Seahawks Cardinals down in the desert Sunday.
Well, I think, Juan said it perfectly. They may have DeAndre Hopkins back, but they're not seeing the same Seahawk team that they saw, what was it, 4 weeks ago? I can't remember how many weeks ago it was.
It will be 4, because that was the start of our 3-game or 4-game winning streak. Yeah, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, they're seeing a different team. And to be honest with you, I think that the Seahawks are going to run into a wall here somewhere. I don't think it's going to be down in the desert. I don't think it's going to be, in a place that they traditionally play well. I mean, they usually do very well down there, more than well, actually. And they also, it's just a team that's bolstering with confidence right now. And Juan, you tell me, you're the coach. You know a little bit more about this than I do. When a team has confidence, it takes them so far, especially at that level, man. They feel like they can go into any stadium, anytime, and beat anybody. It's really amazing how it kind of plays out.
Well, yeah, confidence certainly is the precursor to momentum. And when the team is starting to play well and people are starting to feed off of it, then you start to get momentum, and that's what we're seeing with the Seattle Seahawks right now, certainly.
I got to mention this comment from John Peters on YouTube. He says, DK pulled off the Oscar-winning move of the day for me when he wasn't even a target in the play when K9 ran in for his touchdown. His Mississippi fake on Adoree Jackson was the play of the game for me. I actually didn't even see that until a recent repost of just that play. But if you haven't seen it, look it up. Basically, DK Metcalf went out for a route. Looked like he's going to kind of do a fade route, a corner route, and he pretended like he's reaching up for the ball and acting like it was coming in, and the corner completely went for it. He was just trying to defend the incoming ball, and it was nothing but dead air because of the whole time he had his back to K9, who ran across and scampered untouched. He was touched, but he broke tackles going into the end zone. So that corner was no help, but that was big help by DK Metcalf to play that little charade there and make it look like he was catching the football. So I thought that was great. Sometimes you don't have to block a guy, just do some good acting. So, Oscar award-winning performance for sure. Good call there, John Peters.
I think the announcers actually said that he should have got an Emmy for that, or should have got some award for that, because they had played on that a couple of times.
Oh, they did. Okay, so I hadn't, I was in the stadium, so I didn't see the TV version yet. I hadn't watched that, but that was great to see that after the fact. It's fun for me whenever I go to a game in the stadium. It's fun to watch the game later on the broadcast just to see what I missed, because there's so much that you don't see on TV when you're in the stadium. You don't hear all the details, all the background, all the stuff that's going on that sometimes, when you're just so far away up in the stands, you don't see all those zoomed in close-ups and replays. So that was a fun one to see.
Pete Carroll talks about that, Norb.
Oh, he did. Yeah. I saw it after the fact, but I just didn't realize it at the time. But it was beautiful.
Norb, do you look for yourself when you're watching the game afterwards? Do you look around?
You know what's funny? I haven't seen it. Some people will chat on some people will message me on YouTube during my stream and say, "I saw you on TV, Norb." I was like, really? I haven't seen it. I think sometimes they mix me up for somebody else, but because we're kind of up high, so they usually don't shoot camera views of people way up at where we're sitting. But hey, maybe I missed one, but it's pretty fun. I love being in there. Like I was sitting next to Mark this time, and it's like we feel like it's our responsibility when it's, especially on third down. We're making noise on every play, but on third down, it's like it's required. If somebody forgets, they're like grab them, pull them up. Come on, get up here. Let's make some noise. And and I know it played a factor in that game because the Giants had a few false starts to delay a game, and I know it messed up communication for them. So that's what's cool about it. When you're at home, you're watching, and it's great. But it's great when you feel like your voice actually had an effect on what happened on the field, and that's what makes it so fun to go to a game.
No, but I just wanted to point out one more thing about that fake from DK Metcalf, and we've been talking about him for the last couple of years, and certainly since he signed the big contract. But that's just an indication of him becoming a more complete wide receiver. I think there was a time a couple of years ago when the throw wasn't coming to him. He probably would have, kind of sloughed off to the line of scrimmage with his head down and not really got to the end zone and then put a good fake on that wide receiver. But I think he is starting to really hone his craft. I think he's starting to become much better control of his emotions. And for him to go out and make that type of play really speaks to the fact that he really is starting to become a complete wide receiver, and which is playing multiple benefits to this offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Great comment there.
What about coaching? I mean, I thought that this past
Vinny doing his usual disappearing back. He'll come back right now.
Here you go.
I think you're still muted there, Vinny.
No, he's muted. You're muted.
He's back, but he's muted. There we go. Nope, still muted. Let's see if I can bring you. There we go.
There we go. Sorry, normally I'd be home. Believe me, I feel no compulsion to be out in the street on a night like this.
No, that's a messy one out there.
Yeah, it ain't pretty. Well, Seattle, it's always pretty, but it's not pretty but it is pretty.
Well, hey, we had a long stretch of no rain for months, so this is actually a good thing for the area. But you forget how cold and wet it does get. So today I was doing a production today, and we spent some time outside, and you to the bone.
I don't forget, pal. I'm old, man. My bones start to creak and stuff, man, and this stuff.
I miss the 85 degrees. I got to be honest.
I was trying not to complain because we know how good that is and how rare it is, and when these days were coming. So, yeah, it was fun to go to that. I think it was the Cardinals game. That was when we still had 80-degree weather. Yep. It didn't last much longer after that, but it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, the Seahawks aren't going to give us a reason to go anywhere warm for the rest of it. Well, they go back down to L.A., right?
Yes, they'll play the Rams down in L.A., so yes, they will be back in SoFi again.
But I don't like to go to L.A. Anywhere else warm that they're going?
Good question.
Yeah.
Germany's not warm this time of year. That's going to be the week after.
Germany's not warm, and I'm not going to Germany.
Kansas City's going to be freezing cold.
No, not Kansas
It's cold. It's pretty much cold the rest of the time, except in L.A. San Francisco, who knows? It could be raining down there.
Santa Clara could be okay. Santa Clara could be, 70 degrees, 60 degrees. I mean, it's not like you're in San Francisco. It's you're down south.
Yeah, it's technically Santa Clara. True.
So but, you're probably in a pretty good place there. So
yeah,
because I'm going to need some warm weather before spring training.
I don't think we're seeing much of that. It's going to be a lot of pretty much cold or indoors for the rest of this football season. That's for sure.
I'm going to need something warm before spring training, man. I'm not going to make it 1, 2, 3 months without,
Yeah, we might have to, man. We might have to. All right, so we got to do some score predictions here. Now I'm going to read what happened last time, and we got to figure out who got the most accurate one. So Juan, when I asked you what your prediction was, you said 20-13, a 7-point win. Vinny, you said 17-10 and a defensive struggle.
And I looked good up until the middle of the fourth quarter.
You did, and then we put it on, thanks to some special plays by special teams. I said 24-17.
I'll take it.
None of us expected 27-13, a 14-point win, so none of us got that set, but I guess, I don't know, I feel pretty close. I was 24, so I was only off by a field goal, and I gave the Giants... I thought at 17, they were 13, so I was a little bit, less. So I don't know. I think I was pretty close this week, guys. What do you think?
Your score looked closer. It looked better.
I think I'm going to take the cup for this week, and let's see how it goes next week.
I don't worry about awards and close to the pin and stuff like that.
A win's a win.
I'm not the guy who was texting you before the end of the game. Oh, look at why I got
I'll tell you this, Vinny. If Tyler Lockett was healthy, I think he pulled his groin on Friday. But if he had been healthy, that might have been 42 points. That play in the zone and
that's what I'm saying. 2 touchdowns.
I think he was later. I think that could have been a much broader score.
Well, so what do you guys?
An old coach of mine used to say, "Do the unexpected," and the Seahawks this year so far are that. I mean, that should be their motto: "Do the unexpected," because they're just doing things that I don't think the three of us thought were not that it wasn't possible, but were really going to happen. If anything, it was going to be maybe in a year when they drafted a quarterback. So now what do? Do you keep Geno, or at the end of this year, or do you now, if you're gonna get a high draft pick right from Denver, do you draft the quarterback?
Yeah, well, that'd be great, right? If this continues to go like we joked about, we could finish with a potential, battle for the NFC West and maybe a run in the playoffs, which of course lowers your draft status. But if the Broncos continue going the way they're going, that might just make up for it just fine for us. So, I still think that it would still be smart to draft a quarterback if there's a really good one that they like. It's just now you don't feel like you gotta, push or trade up and try to get the number one because Geno's looking pretty damn good, but maybe you still want to have that insurance policy for the future. So, I still see drafting making sense, but you just don't have to desperately do it like I think we all thought they were going to do when next season came around.
I think Geno Smith this year really illustrates the difficulty and the complexity of that position. And I think that there's so many people who become enamored with guys that they see in college, not realizing that the college game is such a different game than the NFL game. The windows are much shorter. The amount of time you have to get to read and make your decision is so much quicker. And also the different types of coverages you see in the NFL. And these defensive coordinators and these defenders are just masters of hiding things. And it takes a lot of film study, and it really does take a couple of years for a young quarterback to really adjust to the league. And sometimes when a quarterback doesn't come in and have success, and we've heard about this the last couple of weeks as people have been speaking about Geno, they end up moving on from that quarterback. So I think we're all excited about the quarterback play that we're getting right now. I think we're all excited to see what's going to how this is going to transpire for the rest of the season. And I hope that if we do get that draft pick from Denver, certainly it helps having a veteran presence in our quarterback room, and I certainly think if Geno continues to play like this throughout the remainder of the season, it's going to be wise to make an investment in him and bring him back for another year or three.
Yeah, and to what you said, Juan, I watched Geno down at West Virginia with the Mountaineers. And he looks completely different than he did there, and it's just, again, the level of competition is so much better. There's so many things you got to learn. Sometimes it takes a while for somebody to absorb. Some guys come in, but, look at Kenny Pickett, though. I mean, everybody thought he was going to go in there for the Steelers this year and, and just boom, 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 and he's flagged it out. And he's on the same field that he played on. So it's not even like he's got to get used to a new stadium, right?
Same field, much different players. It's a lot faster game.
The games on Sunday. The Sunday games are different than the Saturday games, aren't they?
Very much so. Very much so. And listen, I think Pickett's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. But, he's taking his lumps and he's learning that, all of the things that you have to learn to be successful at that level. And it's so, listen, there's a lot of guys out there that have great arms. There's a lot of guys that can throw a ball. Can you put what's up here with what's here?
Right.
If you can put those together, then you become a good or great quarterback. If you can't, and sometimes it takes time, and this year, Geno Smith, for whatever reason, maybe, it's coaching. Who knows? Maybe he just figured, well, this is my chance, my shot. But I'd love to sit down with him and ask him exactly what's clicking for him this year.
Well, from what I've heard, from every time Geno's been asked, Geno says, it's not a surprise. I've been working on this. This is what I've been doing for the last several years as he's been behind Russell Wilson, and he acts like he expected this to happen. So I love the belief. Whether that's absolutely true or not, we'll never know except Geno. But if he believes it and he's doing it, that's good enough for me, man.
Well, but I don't want to do it to him now, but after the season, I think they ought to show him last year's games.
Well, we don't have to. That's last year. That's old news, But Jake Waldman, interesting take is that Locke is learning behind Geno to take over in a few years. Now, that's something that's not really been talked about. I don't think Drew Locke's even been in the conversation at all. I'm sure he's just happy to be on a winning team rolling along with this. But, That's interesting because it's like, do the coaches have even a sense that they might think that Drew Lock would play some part in the future? He's kind of an afterthought now. Well, before everybody wanted him to be the man. Now it's like, Drew who? It's all Geno. And those same people, including myself and Mark Collins, we're like, what? Forget Geno. We got to put Drew in there. And now no one's talking about Drew Lock.
But this trade is going to be judged in part on what Lock does. You know, part of this trade, besides the guys that you got already, in part is what Lock does. If Lock is a bust, because the original plan had to be that you were going to bring him in and he was going to be the quarterback. Because I don't even think they knew what the heck Geno, had in him in this respect. Maybe they did, and they weren't, just weren't telling anybody. But I don't know. I mean, they'll tell you that they knew he was a good quarterback, but nobody could tell you that because I don't know anybody that thought that he would be this good.
Yeah.
I know that Pete Carroll certainly has been mentioning Drew Lock and his work ethic in a lot of his press conferences. He says Pete says things that you can believe it or not. He says that every single week that Drew Lock is nipping at Geno's heels. And so he said the quarterback competition during the week is still spirited and that Drew is very engaged. If you look at Drew Lock during the games, he is engaged in the football game. I mean, he is sitting there. He's communicating with the coaches. He's communicating with Geno. He sits down and they go over every series when he comes in. So to have a teammate like that who is that involved really is showing that Drew Lock really feels a part of the football team right now. I think a couple of other backup quarterbacks the Seahawks had recently, Matt Flynn in particular. I think when Matt Flynn lost a job, he kind of dropped out of the program, so to speak, and ultimately was traded to Oakland, I believe, the next year. But Drew Lock, I think is seeing the game real well, and I think also, his career is sort of like Geno's. I believe he was taken in the second or third round. And I think that he's probably learning a lot from Geno and seeing that, hey, it took him a little while to develop, and I can learn some things here. And I think he's seeing how Geno has handled this situation, and I think it's been good for Drew Lock to kind of to be that understudy right now.
Well, and maybe the coach he could also just be saying it just to keep Geno honest. Like, Drew is like, hey, Geno, I know you're the man. You're getting the accolades and everything's great, but remember, there's always that next man up waiting in the wings, so you got to keep playing on a high level. So,
are you insinuating that Pete Carroll would lie?
I'm not saying he'd lie, but yes, he would lie. They've all lied at some point, but
he's motivated.
whatever works, man.
Yeah,
so I know, Vinny, I know you got to go soon. I've got to get a score prediction from you before you leave at some point here. So we got to get our scores in here for this game against the Cardinals down in the desert. So Vinny, we'll start with you and work our way over. Vinny, what do you think's the score going to be?
Wow, boy, this is going to be an interesting game. In desert, you got light air, you got a football that's shaped like this, and you have guys with hands that are shaped like that, and you got guys that like to throw the ball, and then you have guys that like to stop the guys that throw the ball. So I would say that all of that to me adds up to I'm going to go with Seahawks. They're going to sweep the Cardinals this year, and I'm going to go Seahawks 45. Seahawks 45.
Woo.
Arizona 21.
45-21. Going off in the desert. Okay. All right. We're going to keep track of this for next week and see how this goes. But all right, 45-21. And everybody else, if you're following along in the chat, put your score predictions as well. We can compare what we all say.
On after that one. But no, I think they're going to have a blowout. I think they're going to have a great game down there.
All right, Juan, you're up 45-21. Let's see what you got.
Vinny, I'm like you. I'm optimistic on our Seahawks, and I'm optimistic on our offense. Not quite as optimistic as you are. I'm going to go Seahawks 28, Cardinals 22.
Okay. We got a few different scores. This is a good one, 60-3. I'd love to see that.
I would.
I remember the. Do you remember?
What college game is he talking about?
Yeah. Hey, but do you remember the Seahawks against those very Cardinals? That was 2012, I believe. They put up a pretty high number against the Cardinals to shut them out. Do you guys remember the score of that game?
No, I don't know. What was it, 64 or something?
No, it was almost ridiculous? Not quite. It was 58-0 I believe.
I knew it was something ridiculous. I know.
I mean, so that's not, but these are very different teams now. But either way, all right. So you had 28-22. Is that what you said?
28-22.
One. Okay. All right. So for me, I'm going to give I generally have been playing it kind of safe. Like Seattle's not going to score a lot of points, but man, I'm just slowly becoming a believer in Geno and this offense and Shane Waldron getting creative and having fun with it. I think they'll take this into the Arizona and get some points here. Not as high as what Vinny's going for, but I'm going to say 34-27 Seattle by still a close game, but 34 feels pretty good, and it's one of those things where Arizona will cut into the lead, but it's not going to be as close as the score looks like. So 34-27 is my prediction for that game. So hey man, since we've been doing the show, I don't think since we started doing the show. Have we lost since we started? Did we do it before we lost? We did do a game when we lost, right?
Coming off of a loss. I think the first time we did it, wasn't Mark with us?
Yes, it was just Mark's fault. So every since we got rid of Mark, we've been doing well. Mark was the negative juju in the group. So
the pariah around our necks, man. I love Mark. He's a good friend. He's a wonderful human being. He's like my brother, but. Maybe we leave him out for the rest of or we have him change his name or something.
Well, he's known as the Drunk Whistler on YouTube. Well, maybe we got that name last year. Well, we'll see what sticks, but yeah, you guys keep your score predictions coming. Since I know Vinny's, you got to step out real soon here. Why don't let you talk about what you got coming up on your channels? Tell them what they can look for, as I do have your links in the description as well. But tell people a little bit about your stuff you got going on.
Look for me tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock on Facebook Live. Just go NY Vinnie Riccici, and you can find me. I'll be with my old partner Michael Knight. And we do a show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Saturday morning, 11:50 KKNW. Drive Time Radio. We talk about cars. This week, we preview the Seattle Auto Show, which is coming up next week. And I'll be live at the Auto Show. And we'll also go down to Las Vegas, my friends, and talk about the SEMA show, which is the wild show that goes on down there every year. So we'll have Mark Vaughan from Automotive Magazine on to talk about that.
Hey, and tell us about the car you're driving in right now. You said it's a Caddy, right?
You have just seen me drive from my house to Green Lake in the 2023 Cadillac XT5 400. This is not your father's Cadillac, man. This is a luxurious. I'll tell you what, man. My first wife wasn't as soft as the leather in this car.
Okay, that sounds very soft.
and I'll tell you what, with the massaging seats, she wasn't as nice to me either.
So you got massage, you got magic fingers in that thing, huh?
I got magic fingers. I got soft, supple leather. I mean, and I got a sunroof that goes the length of the car. Now, beautiful car. It's a dark blue. Cadillac is really coming back. Cadillac went through a rough patch for a while, but they're, this little XT5, which is obviously not as big as the Escalade, really cool little car. I love this little thing.
That sounds nice, man. Well, you are the car dude. So let's switch over to Juan. Juan, I know you got stuff that you do on Rainier Avenue Radio.
That's right.
You still got some stuff going on there?
I don't think I could top the Cadillac, but certainly, Norm, we have WIAA Primetime with the executive director of the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association, Mick Hoffman. He and I talk high school sports, and if you love football, which I know a lot of you do here in this area, high school football's playoffs are starting tomorrow night. So a number of games throughout the area. Check the Seattle Times or check the websites. There's some really good high school football action going on, and just that perfect crisp fall weather for that. And we're looking forward to being out there on Rainier Avenue Radio. And obviously we talk about all the different things going on in youth athletics. High school volleyball, for example, I know the playoffs are coming up there as well. Some of us have daughters on volleyball teams. And I also want to say two things. Number one, still we are looking for blood donors, and I appreciate the audience that have gone out and donated blood. It's such an important thing to do in the community, and it's such a need right now as the weather's starting to change and the holidays are among us. Upon us, the blood donations go down. So if you can make a time to do that, that would be really good. You'll save a life for sure. And then also Tuesdays, November the 8th, that ballot that is sitting on your desk, go ahead and fill it out and put a stamp on it and get it in the mailbox or to the drop box. So it's so easy in our country. It's so easy in our state. Just put it in the mailbox before Tuesday. Get that thing in the mailbox.
Put mine in the box today, man.
Well done.
Important thing you can do.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go, can I give a shout out to somebody?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to shout out to my nephew and my godson, Daniel, who just was informed yesterday he made the varsity basketball team at McClatchy High in Sacramento, California, man. The dude is a stud. He's a two-sport guy, plays baseball, plays basketball. Wow. He runs the floor like no kid I've ever seen, man. He's going to be, I tell you, he's the big hope, man. You know, if I'm ever going to get famous, it's going to be following him around.
That's awesome.
But he's a good kid, and I'm glad that he works his ass off as a high school athlete. He's got a great GPA, and he takes care of business when it comes to sports. And as you were saying before, it's so important with all of these programs in our school that are getting funded and funded less. It's so important for you to go out and support these programs so the people that write the checks for these things see that and keep them going. We need to have sports and we need to have music and arts in our schools. We're a nation like we are right now because many schools don't have that kind of stuff. And we need to learn teamwork. And we need to learn to appreciate the beauty of things as well. And that's my soapbox.
Well, that's a great transition to what I want to say here as we get ready to close out the show. But last night was the Kent Ridge High School volleyball team senior night. So my oldest daughter, Sophie, who's going to be graduating this year at the end of the school year, it was a special night for her, very emotional. We worked hard to put this program together. But the nice thing is because of a win that we got a couple days ago, we did secure a spot in the playoffs. So our season didn't end last night. We get to keep playing next week as the postseason continues. So that was exciting. This weekend, we're actually doing our first, we've been to a couple, but we're going to go to the East Coast, first East Coast college visit for Sophie for a school that potentially she might play volleyball at. So that's another thing we're very excited about checking out this weekend. The third part, you mentioned sports and you mentioned music and the arts. Well, last night, my other daughter, Vanessa, did something she's never done before, and that was she sang the national anthem to start off the game, and I've got a recording of it, a beautiful shot from my business partner, Michael Lorraine. I'd love to share it with you guys because I'm so proud of how it went. So I'm going to show you this rendition of the national anthem as sung last night. So check it out right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Vanessa Kawiri.
At the twilight's last gleam.
Play ball!
There we go.
Nice.
Who was the guy in the suit?
That was a proud moment.
Who
That
was
was a
the guy
proud
in the
moment
suit?
for our family.
Beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. You're a lucky
Congratulations.
man.
Thank you, man. So it's been a very crazy week, but we ended up on a good note last night. So
Did she do the Canadian
That smile radiates.
one country at a time, there, Vinny.
Hey, I can do the Canadian. I'm just saying. I'm getting ready. If crap hits the fan in this country, I got the they stop me at the border. I'm Canadian.
Man.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land. Je was un de fue from far. I'm going with the French and the English in case they tell me go to Montreal.
Nice,
Hey, Norb?
Vinny. Yes.
Norb, it's obvious that young lady got her incredible talent and her looks from her mom. What did she get from you?
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't want to be that.
I want to know.
Yeah, I'm still trying to. I think. Well, we both like horror movies. We got that in common. Oh man. Anyway, you know how it is. Guys. These moments. They happen, and sometimes when your kids just shock you and do something amazing, you just kind of have to stop and just go, "Wow, that was
like
good.
Warren
That was fun."
said, man, enjoy every sandwich.
Yeah.
It's
Very
the little
well put.
things, man. It's that little sandwich. It's that little time together. Thing like singing the national anthem, that beautiful that you'll remember when you're 100 years from now, man. You'll think back on. Well, maybe not 100, but 75 years.
If I could be around that long. That'd be cool.
Hey, listen, that they're fixing things now they never fixed before, so who knows? All right, listen, speaking about fixing things, I got to jive, man.
Yeah. All right. So long, Vinny. Thanks for joining the show, man. Appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We have to cut the show off here. Sorry we didn't get to take any calls today, but we will do that next time. We might be doing I plan to do a fan panel coming up here. And now that we're doing this college visit on the East Coast, that's going to change my weekend. I think I will be back in time for the game against the Cardinals. So I still plan to live stream that. But it's just been one of those crazy weeks. This and that, and now flying across the other side of the country. But hopefully be back for the Seahawks game, which I'm extremely looking forward to.
Best of luck to you on that investment trip.
Oh man, and like choosing a good investment, man. It's like, okay, let's see how this all plays out. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys. Juan, thank you for joining the show. We'll talk again next week and compare notes.
So good
all right,
to see you, brother.
Thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your trip,
Have a
man.
great rest of your week, and
Bye now.
go Seahawks, baby.